What's good? No load time. Joel here. So glad to be with you for this special recording of my personal review of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Mania. This is a really cool one. This this review rather is going to be my perspective. We're gonna talk about non-spoilers first. So if you have not seen the movie, that's okay. You can watch this. If you have seen the movie, you can still watch it, but a few minutes into this, when I get past the non-spoiler part, I will put up the spoiler warning in red. You'll see it in the corner of the screen. So if you have not seen the movie, when that non-spoiler comes up, stop the video. When you go see the movie, afterwards come back, play from there, and watch the rest of it, and you'll be safe. If you have seen the movie, stick with me. You'll get into the fun, juicy stuff. The questions you have and theories, we'll get into that. So make sure that you stick around for sure. But right off the bat, let's talk non-spoilers. Overall impressions. Look, Rotten Tomatoes, if you're watching this right now, this is on premiere day on February 16th, you'll know that it's about a 50% around that percentage on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics. Uh, Look, I'm just going to tell you straight, I think it's a thumbs up. It's not a two thumbs up, but it's a thumbs up film. And I'll explain a little bit more here. But it's the kind of movie, when you think about most of the Ant-Man movies, you have to understand these are very, very different films. Ant-Man is not Superman. That's important to put into context. These films are very, very unique, very silly, but also a lot of fun and adventure. Now, this movie, compared to the other Ant-Man movies, is not as self-contained. The other films, you didn't really have to have watched the other films. Of course, there's the helps, there's lore, there's connectivity. I'm not saying there isn't, right? But overall, each film has its own specific adventure, and then when the movie's done, that adventure's closed. Well, with this one, this is a different kind of film, because in this film, it's very much like how the MCU, how it feels like a long-running TV show. This very much feels like the first episode of a new season of the new path that the MCU is going into. Yeah, we've seen other characters introduced, but I'm not saying Wakanda Forever doesn't have implications on the future of the MCU, but really it was just it's a movie around just the Black Panther. Where in this one, this film's about Ant-Man and the Wasp and them setting up a stage for the future of where the MCU is going, specifically the next Avengers film with King the Conqueror, to be more specific. My initial reactions. Look, I think the King introduction for this film, and it really wasn't an introduction, right? If you've seen Loki season 1, you know what I'm talking about. Kang being in that series was a really cool, exciting, finale, right, to the show. But in this one, we see a different variant, right? And in the variant that we see here, being the Conqueror, is very, very, very menacing, very serious. And this is the kind of character that you can definitely see he's going to cause problems. He's going to be the kind of person that the Avengers are going to need to be involved with. And when you see the film, you'll understand what I mean. But there's a uniqueness to somebody who has the knowledge, the skill sets, and a personal, I don't want to say vendetta, but a personal mission that's really, really unique. When Thanos was introduced, his in the comics, his whole thing was that he worships death, right? And in the movies, they didn't do that, right? It was more like, population control, or however you want to view that, right? But with this one, Kang's personal journey, when you see the film, you'll see that it's very mischievous, it's very vindictive, and it has a huge implication for the future of the MCU. So that's huge. Talking about overall impressions, it's a fun, really adventurous film. You just need to know that when you leave this film, you got 2 post-credit scenes, so make sure you stick around for both of those, and make sure that you go in with expectations for, like I'm mentioning, something that's not like the other films, self-contained, but this one really is a ground level film setting up for the future of the MCU. So it's really just to wet our whistle, give us a little tease. Not a long movie, just about 2 hours and 5 minutes, something along those lines. And I think they managed to time pretty well. Alrighty, so without further ado, we are going to get into spoilers. Sorry about that. So, if you have not seen the movie, this is your moment. Pause. Go watch the movie when you can. Come back and watch it. If you have seen the movie, let's get into this fun stuff. Let's do it. Right, you've been warned. We're going to get into spoilers. Let's go. First things first, the beginning of the film, you realize that yes, Kang's going to be an important character, but Janet is a really important character. Janet has a lot of mystery around her. We didn't really see much of her in the second film, except that, she's rescued finally, right? And in this movie, they really get into how, it's very serious because what she experienced, what she saw in the quantum realm gave her kind of a PTSD. And she doesn't want to talk about it. And even though her family wants to be there for her and they want her to talk about it, she just doesn't want to talk about it. Well, we find out why when we watch this movie. And the very opening sequence, really cool action sequence with her and her seeing Kang, who, crash landed, which we find out later on. Now we're in the spoilers part. We could talk about it. Did not crash land. It was actually outcast. She has her survival instincts. She's very clearly on this planet, living like almost like a farmer. It's like someone who's been stranded on an island, right? She's made the most of it. She's brilliant. She's a pimp, right? She's Janet is doing just fine with her family, like her family would, but she's all alone. She doesn't have anyone. But in this moment, you see when Kang shows up, and looks like a crash, but it wasn't. She helps him out. She's brilliant. Of course, she's able to crack the code eventually that would unlock Kang's ship, which would, of course, be the mechanism that he uses to try to get out. And I love how they use the ability of her touching the engine to kind of get all the emotions and a recap of all the things that Kang has done, and we just get a quick glimpse of it, but we get the idea that she gets it almost like downloaded into her brain, and she knows fully everything, how it feels, what he's thinking, what he's done, all of it. And it's a great way to make you take away from the mystery of Kang. You're like, oh my goodness, why is he so problematic? And then you see, oh my goodness, this person is clearly evil. And it's a great way to not waste time where you have to do this whole long montage, but also still great for storyline, I thought, because all you needed was that quick moment and seeing her reaction and knowing that she's a good person, that she'll be just fine. The next part there the next thing to talk about here is, I want to talk about how Cassie and Scott. I think Cassie and Scott are a really great relationship we see in this film. Most of the time you would think that, hey, this might be a little cliche and they'll make it like the teenager who doesn't like her dad and is upset with him and their relationship change. Well, they don't do that. And I really appreciate that, because, to me, it wouldn't have made sense. That's like, oh, they made it clear in the other films that she was very protective of her dad. She loved her dad. She knew that, what was going on, that, he wasn't great. He wasn't in great circumstances, but she always believed in him. And she still believes him when she gets older. The difference is she wants him to believe in her, and her intentions, the way she goes about her methods are very dangerous. But she wants him to support her and be there for her, and it's done in a way that it's nice because they have I feel like a really good way of showing how they're not upset with each other, but the challenges they face, but they both have good in them at the end of the day, and they do it in a way that's really really nice in my opinion. So I thought that was pretty good. And different than what they could have done, where it could have just been, just make it the rebellious teenager. It's like, no, her mission's actually pretty good. So I appreciate that. Let's talk about MODOK. MODOK. Oh my goodness. Not the MODOK that you know from the comics, but that's okay. MODOK is a character where, he's really Darren, right? That we see the yellow jacket. And obviously, that's not his origin in the comics, but I just like that they still brought him in. They made him funny, but they still made him powerful. They didn't dwarf him. I think his entrance scene, it's like kind of like a transformer. Like he's coming through, shooting everything down, whatever. But yeah, it's still a joke, and that's MODOK really is a joke at the end of the day. It's not that serious. And I thought it was really really funny sequence. So not really too much to say about it. Look, you think MODOK's dead? Come on. can't guarantee. I don't make the decisions at Marvel, obviously. But let's be real. We've seen characters that are supposed to be dead come back. I'm not complaining. It's just a matter of fact how the MCU goes. There's a possibility we'll see MODOK again, maybe another variant, maybe the same variant. We don't know, but I'm just saying if they want to, the character can come back. All right, let's talk also about Kang himself. Kang, oh my goodness, what an amazing character, the Conqueror, right? His powers, they could have made him super OP. They could have made him, crazy and using his time abilities to freeze everything and reset and whatever. And you see little teases of it, right, when he freezes Janet, but you also see a little bit of restraint. Like he has these abilities, but he's not going over the top to make himself win. Which I think I appreciate because it made you more, I don't say grounded because it's the quantum realm, quantum mania. It's crazy. There's things going on, but it made it more in a way where you can really just watch the character and start to get just a tease and a taste of what's possible and what's to come. This is just, one instance of it. There's way more. The character is extremely smart, so don't count him out. Let's also talk about, let's just talk about the end credit scenes. The last one being the Kang variant, this first one being the Kang variants. The Kang variants, to the very, very first ones that we see, be Rama Tut, Rama Tut being the Egyptian, kind of pharaoh king that goes back in time to basically take over the world through ancient Egypt. So obviously, a very powerful king, as we know they all are. The next one I think is Iron Lad. Most people are saying that. Not entirely sure. But Iron Lad is supposed to be one that actually becomes good and a founding member of the Young Avengers. So we'll see. Might not all kings, may not all be evil. Different variants, right? And then the other one being Immortus. I believe to be Immortus, which would be the most powerful one of them all, and seems to be really take control and bring all the kings together. This is unique, right? We see Kang in the movie earlier on. With this army that he was going to take to Earth. And you're like, that looked problematic. That looked almost like Loki in the Battle of New York with the big army, right? With the Leviathans and all that. Where with this, instead of maybe, this is a theory, maybe these kings are going to wage war or have revenge. Or try and make a statement. Not really sure exactly. But I can't imagine, that it's going to be good. This is a thought. That these are powerful and they want to make a statement and avenge maybe on what's been seen. So we'll see. Although they were the ones who cast out that king that we saw in the quantum realm. So not exactly sure how to make out of that, but we'll see. I look forward to seeing more kings and more future possibilities. And I love how they talk about possibilities and probabilities and how the probabilities, how there's multiple Ant-Mans that help. Yeah, man, try and climb up, right? Like, if you're in your life, you ever feel like, I think we all have had this moment where we want to go back in time and say, what if I did this different? What if I did that different? That changes everything. We're seeing these ideas with time being played with, and I think that's really fascinating, and you'll see that start to be shown here. It's not just jumping different points in time, but also changing the probability, and these concepts are being planted for a reason. The last post-credit scene being the Loki one. I think this was really cool. Love Loki season 1. And in this one here, we see Victor Timely. So this is the king that goes back and kind of it's like an Edison type character. It's like inventing things and everyone thinks he's great. Will this be maybe the main king villain of Loki season 2? Probably, possibly, not entirely sure. But this is the thing, like, Kang is the problem, but it's Kangs, it's variants, there's multiple of them, and they can do this. I love that. You can have a Kang that's a movie villain, you can have a Kang that's a TV villain. Love the crossover. The quality of Loki season 1 was fantastic, in my personal opinion, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of this. Love that they had this connection there. All right, so that's all my quick rundown. There's so much I could have said, so much I could have dove into, but I didn't want to take too much of your time. I want to jump to these main points. Tell me what you thought about this. Write a comment down below. Tell me if you love the movie, if you hate the movie, you feel the same as me, what thoughts you might have. It's a safe place to do it. We appreciate your feedback. Please make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Make sure to watch upcoming episodes that we're going to be having. Watch the videos on our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media. Hit the like button. Drop us a comment. Share this with your friends and family. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next episode in a little time. Bye.